Do you want to create good melodies? Then I have something really nice for you. You can basically make a formula out of every melody, and that allows you to either learn from your own melodies or to get inspiration from external melodies. And I will show you in this video how you can break down a melody to like a melodic formula, or how to extract the properties out of this melody to make better melodies and make them faster. So there's a chicken egg problem if we want to create leads. Do we decide first on the preset we select, or do we decide first on the melody? And I would say both are valid ways. And I even had a discussion here on my channel that if you write melodies, you should do this with a simple piano. And I partly agree with this, that sometimes the preset can distract you from writing good melodies. But I would say in the majority of cases, because sound design has such a high impact here in Psytrance, that every sound has basically one melody, or maybe like multiple melodies, let's say like a melody concept, which works really well with this sound design. And that's also what we will go about in this tutorial here. So just assume for a moment that every synth preset has one melody which really exactly fits on top of it, like the lid to the can. And if that is so, then we could select a preset and then find that melody concept, which we'll do in a second. And you can decide later for yourself when we play through all the MIDI if you think every MIDI is working with that synth preset or not. And if it's not like that, then I guess you need to agree with me that there are certain MIDI patterns which work way better with certain sound designs. And now you might be thinking, Andy, I don't have MIDI. So where to get MIDI? Should I buy a MIDI bank online? And I would say no, because usually MIDI banks are not made for Psytrance. So there's actually two ways how you can get MIDI. The first way is you get a bank which already comes with MIDI. So for example, I will use today from Futurephonics the Burn Noise pack for Serum. And what they did is they put all the MIDI from the ARPs also out into MIDI files, and then you can load them easily into your DAW. So you're basically getting a MIDI pack as well. Or the second option, which I find a little bit better because you kind of like keep your style and you're evaluating what's good in your production and what not, is that you create your own banks basically. So if you look here into my user library, I have like a folder tracks 2023, and I will need to add a few more tracks here, which I haven't done this yet, but I collected all the MIDI in my track for melodic leads here. So I have different ones also for FM leads and pads and whatever, but I created them here for the melodic leads and I put them in here. And what I can do is I can drag them over, same as I did here with the Burn Noise pack, and then you have all the MIDI in here. And now there comes a little thing you need to do, because as you can see here on the Burn Noise pack, everything seems to go more or less around this note here. So this will be the key of the MIDI pack. Maybe there are a few outliers like this, I don't know, but maybe that's just an octave higher. Anyways, we will assume for now that this here, C2 or C, is actually the key of our track. As you will hear in a second that I'm using my own pack here for the kick and bass and drums, which is an A sharp, we need to transpose it. And we go from C to A sharp, and going from C to B is one semitone, and then from B to A sharp is another semitone. So we go two semitones down. So what we need to do is we will select everything here one time. Then we go in here with Command A, we select all the notes, and we need to make sure that fold or scale is off. And then we hit 2 times the arrow down key, and we're going from C to B and from B to A sharp. 1, 2. And now everything here should be evolving around A sharp here. As you can see, we have transposed it. The other option you can do is you can put pitch here in, and then you can just leave it like it is and do it with that. But I think that's a little bit more cumbersome, because then if you want to add later your own notes and stuff, then you always need to like think around the corner a bit that you are actually in C and not in A sharp. Anyways, that's what we have done. That will make this notes all available for our patch here. The next thing, of course, is we need to select a patch, and we want to have a patch which is tonal. So let's look for something tonal here. Maybe we take here an ARP. If you take an ARP, as we already have notes, there's two options options how you can switch it off. So first is that you bypass everything which influences things like chords, semitones, octaves. So everything which is going here, we want to bypass. That one we also want to bypass maybe, but it's just giving some pluck, could be. And then we should be good to go with our notes. The other thing you can do sometimes is if this is not like something which goes left and right, and you can just turn down the bars here as well. Either option usually should work. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, then please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon. The bell icon is really important because then you get notified when a new video comes out and you can choose if this is something for you. And it's a little bit better than if you just have your YouTube home screen showing like dozens of videos, which might not really help you in getting forward with your music production. So then you get a notification and you can then decide if this is a very hot topic for you. So now what we will do is we will try those melodic patterns with our preset we have selected, and then we see which of those melodic patterns is working. And from there we will create our own melodic pattern by using the formula of this pattern. So check this out. I want to pull them all up here and then we just start playing through them. Yeah, this one is actually not bad, but let's look a bit further. One is not doing a lot. I want to have 3 until we go. This has triplets already saying, so it sounds quite out of time with that. Yeah, I think it's cool. Now we have enough. I don't want to have you listen through all the bank. If you wanna, then get the whole bank. It's a cool bank. So let's have a look in here. So what can we actually see if we look at this melody? First thing we can see is it has quarter notes even. I mean, we have some chopping in here in our preset. I heard that. That was, I think, from that here. So we have this gating here, which chops then up our notes, but that's part of the preset. So it's not a problem actually that it gets chopped up here. So we just would have the same like as if we would have something like this then. So what can we actually see here? So one thing what we notice is it's not jumping a lot, the pattern. So it goes quite like straight down here, goes up, and then has that kind of like a little bit like wave-ish movement. It has very long notes, as you can see. Most of the notes are like here quarter notes, and then we have some half notes and even a bar. So actually this pattern looks more like could be like even for a pad or something maybe, but I think it worked really well with that ARP together. So why not? The next thing is we can take a look at the notes. So we have here our root note, which is ending very long here in the end. Besides that, we have a few notes off scale here. That's another thing we can take a look at here. If we look at scales, it does mostly small jumps. So if we would imagine that this note, if we would take it on the scale, then usually there's not like a jump bigger than 2 scale degrees besides here. That's something we can notice. What can we do from here actually? So we can do a bunch of things. So first thing is we could, for example, fill this and just like get the notes and limit ourselves to the notes, and that already can be some source of inspiration. Maybe we'll even leave that part here in the end here where we have this. Now we just try how it sounds. So let's look what we can do here. I have a new special thing I want to announce. As you guys know, I have been struggling for years with music production, and I have been at the same point as many of you guys now. I have been a pretty rookie beginner, and I haven't been able to make very good sound when I was a beginner. And I kind of like compressed everything I learned now into my own course. So it will be a live program, the Psytrance Power System, in which I teach you everything I know about Psytrance, or actually not everything I know, but I teach it in the most easy and simplest way so that you can effectively create a really good track after this course. And it will be only one time live, so it's really important that you register for it. There's a website called Psiger.com/join the waiting list with dashes in between. I put a link down here and up here for you guys, and there you can register. And once I have gathered enough people, I will launch the course, and then you get a notification email, and then you can still decide if it's something for you, if you want to go with me. But it's important that you have registered, because otherwise I cannot mail you when it's starting. Maybe we start also with quarter notes. So that's the next restriction. We don't use anything smaller than quarter notes. Yeah, and here we already see it sounds a little bit cheap. We could keep like this, like a little bit wavy motion maybe. They also have those long notes in. Maybe we should try to get a few of those also in. Well, we don't have to. Yeah, I find that a little bit long here, so maybe we can use this. I think we came up with a pretty good melody, pretty fast. And if we compare this, I really want to show you that it's not the same at all. So if we look at this, we have quite different notes moving in here. So even here it moves down, we move up. Here we move down, it moves up. So the point I want to make is that you don't need to get all of the properties of that melody. It's just like an inspirational tool. So it's just to see what kind of melodies could work with this sound design. So for example, we have this longer notes, which then work maybe really well with that LFO, which is chopping it up again. So there's certain things in the sound design which work well. Maybe if you have longer notes, or if you have whatever certain gaps in the notes, and I don't know how everything relates to it, but it usually works really well to kind of like really look at what is happening in here, what kind of ideas can I take from this without like just copy and pasting it, because that would be boring, you know. If you take this in your track, then it will sound like maybe as somebody else's track because he did the same thing. But if you have this is something unique still. It shares a lot of common things, but it's not the same. And that's the important point about this. Anyways, also if you do this a lot, you will notice a lot of melodic patterns which work. So for example, one thing which we could see here was this, maybe that we end on the root note here again. Or another thing we could see was that we're following quite a lot of easy steps here in the scale. Or maybe you have just worked in a scale before and now you see, oh yeah, I can use some off scale notes as well and will work still with my kick and bass, which is in another scale actually. So for example, this is an A sharp Phrygian, and maybe this is, I don't know, a Dorian here, we could say. To sum this quickly up, should you always be using this? No, of course not. It's just like a tool. If you enjoyed this video so far, then please please hit the like button. That helps me to spread this video and also shows me which topics you guys are interested in. It's something in your toolbox. Maybe you feel not so inspired one day, and then you can use this and you can create melodies from that, and you can learn actually how those melodies have been done. So I have seen a lot of cool things in those things here. So for example, I learned a lot about acid melodies. I tried this with some acid sounds, and I noticed acid sounds, they don't need so much movement. You can stay like a lot on the root note and then have like only a few notes deviating and can still be getting a very, very cool vibe with that. Also, as I said, you don't need to use external packs. If you have maybe 10 tracks where you put the MIDI out, 10 tracks which you like of yours after you build your back catalog of music, then you can also bring those melodies in, and you will notice, even if you jammed quite wildly and did this all with your keyboard or whatever, what patterns you like. So what's your personal preferences, and then you can try to understand why they work. And the next time when you then do a free jam with your keyboard and not use any MIDI before, then you will have that kind of like somewhere in your brain or your intuition saved, and you know, okay, maybe I don't do that big jumps anymore. So I hope you agree with that, and I hope you also agree that not every sound or note pattern is working with every sound design. As we've seen, we skipped a few of those MIDI here because they weren't sounding good. Maybe, for example, there's a delay in it, and if we have very short notes and the wrong notes, then this delay leaks over into the other notes and it doesn't sound beautiful. So there's many reasons why things work and don't work, but I think this is a really cool technique, how you can get very fast, quick results, and at the same time you can learn from others or review your own stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos about leads and how to make melodies, I have a playlist for that, which I will link up here, which you can watch next.